A well-known activist who helped in the filming of the Oscar-winning documentary No Other Land has been killed by an Israeli settler in the occupied West Bank. Well, in this video, a settler who's been identified as Yinon Levi can be seen wielding a gun and threatening Palestinians in Masafer Yatta. He then opens fire, killing 31-year-old Odeh Hadalin. Levi was sanctioned by the Biden administration as a violent extremist in 2024. The sanction was lifted when Donald Trump took office in January. Omar Baddar is a political analyst and a former deputy director of the Arab American Institute. He joins us from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the program. So, to what extent does this display the environment of impunity that has been fostered by Israel's actions in Gaza and beyond?
Yeah, the situation that we're in right now, really, in Israel is one of complete and total anti-Palestinian frenzy that has reached genocidal proportions in Gaza and certainly murderous proportions in the West Bank as well. That is absolutely the direct result of a climate of impunity that Israel has enjoyed, where the international community, including the United States, has simply stopped at words to criticize what Israel's conduct is without ever imposing any meaningful consequences. And that has created a climate where Israel's desire to empty the Palestinian territories of Palestinians and to take over that land is proceeding with unspeakable violence, with hardly any restraints at all. That is precisely a direct result of the climate that Israel has been enjoying for several decades now.
You mentioned the US there. We understand that the settler identified in the video was sanctioned by the Biden administration, but this was then lifted when Trump came in. What does this say about the current US administration's policies in the region?
You know, American policy for a very long time has been one of essentially treating Israel like a country that is above the rules and above the law. But there were minimal constraints that held some of Israel's behavior that we have seen completely lifted and entirely abolished under the Trump administration, to the point to where you have people who we know are violent anti-Palestinian actors who are engaging in this violence, and Trump just simply lifts any sanctions that were previously imposed on them. That is signaling that even the most violent and fanatical elements within Israeli society are fine by Donald Trump. And we should remember also that the Israeli government and Israeli settlers have actually killed several American citizens in the West Bank. And the Trump administration not only refuses to offer any accountability, but doesn't even talk about it. It doesn't even acknowledge the fact that these incidents have taken place. This is the environment, again, that we're witnessing under the Trump administration, where, you know, Trump is a president who is devoid of morality and conscience entirely on both domestic and foreign policy. But it doesn't really quite go as far with any policy item as much as it does with the case of Israel and Palestine, where we've seen in the lead up to his campaign major pro-Israel donors giving him huge sums of money. And it seems like this is essentially the payoff, which is providing an environment in which Israel can do whatever it wants. And Trump comes along and endorses the most fantastical Israeli ideas, including the proposal to empty the West Bank of its Palestinian citizens. This is the kind of extremist rhetoric that we had never seen fully embraced by an American administration, even though there had been problems previously. We've seen that taken to a very, very new height under the Trump administration.
On a wider international level, France says it will be recognizing the state of Palestine. Is that a bold move or a timid move, in your view?
It's an incredibly timid move. I mean, look, this would have been extremely meaningful 20 years ago when we had a peace process fail. And the reason why it failed is because Israel was never serious about allowing Palestinians to have independence. It kept building illegal settlements in the Palestinian territories. A diplomatic response of that kind would be fitting in that environment. But we are long past that at this point. We are today in an environment in which Israel is proceeding with destroying Palestinian life and Palestinian society before our eyes. We are witnessing the mass starvation of an entire population, the mass killing of children by the tens of thousands. Diplomatic moves of this sort are guaranteed to be entirely ignored by Israel. What we need right now in order to shift Israel's behavior is concrete steps to hold Israel accountable, to constrain its behavior. That means cutting off all diplomatic relations with Israel and cutting off all military funding, and to isolate Israel in a very meaningful sense, to understand that if they want to be ever embraced by the world order, by the international community again, that they have to change course. They have to start seeing Palestinians as equal human beings who are deserving of the same rights and freedoms that Israelis enjoy. And as long as Israel continues on this path of just destroying Palestinian life, they should be treated as the pariah rogue state that they are.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Omar Baddar, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.